Hello everyone. We're about to get started, so if you would please come closer together if you can. If you're still worried a little bit about COVID, you can keep your distance too, but if not, then please come together. We're going to go ahead and start our program now before we begin our march. So, in order to do so, we're first going to acknowledge the original peoples of this land, the Ohlone people, and we're going to do that by all coming together and saying a few words to acknowledge all of those things. So, if you will with me, could you face towards the east, which is this way here? And we're going to think about all those families that have been created, maybe not our birth families, but those families that we've created in different places that were so essential for all those people who sometimes felt left out, and we're going to thank them right now, and we're going to do that by saying Chukmashki. 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 Thank you. Now we're going to turn right down here towards the south. The south is this direction. And at this point, we're going to think about all those trans leaders that came before everyone else, making and paving a way so that we could have what we have today. And we're going to say, Chukmashki. 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 Now, if you'll face towards me, which is towards the west, we're going to acknowledge those ancestors that came before me here on this land, those Ohlone people, those Chumash people, those Pomo people, all the native people who never excluded us from within our tribe, but everyone was essential and important. And we're going to say Chukmashki. 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 And now we're going to face towards the north. And at this time, we're going to think about all those victims that just happened in Colorado, and we're going to think about them, hoping that those who have been injured will come into better health. We're going to say Chukmashki. 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 Thank you. Now you can face back towards me.
Hello everybody. I know you all woke up this morning wondering what this world is coming to. But I want to stand here and assure you that I see each one of you. I see my transgender siblings. You are seen. You are loved. We have a long way to go in America to root out homophobia and transphobia, and we will do that. As a South Asian, transgender, Kinner, immigrant woman, I'm so proud and grateful to be able to stand here, because I can't begin to tell you how many times I think I'm going to be there on the next year's list. It is the reality of our lives, and it's almost a stroke of fortune or luck, like some of us may believe. As we continue to come out of the pandemic and face the inequalities, whether it was healthcare or employment, the systemic oppression and violence by elected and so-called community leaders in this nation continue to oppress us and try to raise us trans people. The realities of those that are further marginalized and underrepresented, of the Black transgender community, the Latinx monolingual immigrant communities, the asylum seekers, the migrants, the strangers from a different shore. They're not strangers after all. Those living with HIV, those experiencing homelessness and disabilities, those of the global South remain to be heard. Our voices need to be heard. And what happened last night is a testament that our voices are not being heard yet. So I want you to be as loud as possible to say, trans lives matter. Trans lives matter. LGBT lives matter. LGBT lives matter. Say no to transphobia. Say no to transphobia. Say no to homophobia. Say no to homophobia. This lack of healthcare, employment, housing, education, and justice, as well as this day-to-day stigmatization and prosecution, are just continued ineptness of society at large to see us beautiful transgender, intersex, non-binary, queer people. And today on this International Transgender Day of Remembrance, I really want to uplift each one of you and remember those that we have lost. We have lost not one, not two, but over 350 trans people. Too many, that's right, too many. And what is most upsetting is a first world country in America makes the list of the top 5 countries and continues to be there when our trans siblings, majority of whom are black transgender folks, being erased, just living their lives. That is not okay. And while we remember those that are lost today, I want to hold those of us who are still here today and let you know that you're loved, you're seen, and you're never alone. It's something I tell myself every single day, something I had to tell myself this morning. When I woke up this morning, as some of you know, I got into action mode. I had to check on my siblings who are far away in isolated spaces and make sure that they were safe. I know today is a very hard day for us to get out of bed and be here, but trust me, I'm there often and you're there often. But next year, we will be celebrating and we will not be remembering because we cannot lose any more of our trans people. To someone that once said, my voice is a problem, it's a challenge to be trans, I am going to say my voice is to challenge the transphobia in this world. I live an unapologetic life of a transgender person, just like many of you, and I must keep my safety and the safety of my loved ones in mind. But I know there is no shield like that of the truth, and there is no weapon that can truly harm someone who is free from fear and living our authentic transgender life. I encourage everyone to remember that although feelings of isolation and attacks of transphobia can creep in, and it seems like there is no one who could possibly understand, this is a day of a worldwide remembrance. Not just in our minds, not just in our beautiful sanctuary city of San Francisco, or even in our nation globally. It is a worldwide remembrance of those who have been lost to transphobia and discrimination. But it is also a day to remember those who live on. And to that, I'll ask each one of you to look to somebody next to you and let them know that they belong and you see them. Thank you, and so much love to each one of you. Thank you for being here.
If our safety monitors could please raise their hands. If you look around, we have a couple of safety monitors. If anybody feels unsafe during our rally or march, please find one of them and we will assist you. Without further ado, I'd like to introduce Victoria Castro of Ella para Trans Latinas.
Hello everyone, thank you for being here. I'm speaking Spanish. Yes, así que voy a hablar español para honrar y continuar, no dejando atrás un poco el lenguaje en español, pero estoy muy honrada de estar aquí representando a la comunidad y gracias a las personas que me invitaron para formar parte. Tengo por aquí algo escrito que he preparado con mucho cariño, pero también gracias por estar aquí a todos, todas y todex. Es muy importante para mí personalmente este día como una persona sobreviviente a muchos de los ataques que he sufrido, así que estoy aquí para compartir, ¿verdad? Cada uno de los que estamos aquí somos personas que hemos sobrevivido, que seguimos luchando y que no nos estamos rindiendo ante toda la transfobia que existe en todo el mundo, ¿verdad? Las personas que hemos tenido que emigrar, personas que siguen luchando en nuestros países y también personas que están luchando aquí personalmente, que estamos tratando de hacer de este mundo un mundo mejor para poder sobrevivir. Cada vida de una persona trans ha dejado un legado muy importante en la historia. Y ahora estamos todos aquí para valorar y honrar este legado de todos nuestros hermanos y hermanas trans que en algún momento de nuestras vidas han sido importantes y siguen siendo importantes, y continuaremos manteniendo esa vida y ese trabajo importante junto al trabajo que continuamos haciendo, porque a pesar de que han sido arrebatadas sus vidas, ellos continúan vivos en nuestros corazones y en nuestros recuerdos por el trabajo que han hecho. Y la voz nunca se va a silenciar y nunca se va a apagar, porque nosotros, cada uno de nosotros, tenemos el trabajo de mantener viva la historia, de mantener vivo el trabajo y mantener vivo el legado que nuestros hermanos y hermanas trans han hecho, que nosotros también continuamos haciendo. Así que personalmente quiero decirles que cada uno de nosotros, cada persona en el mundo, cada persona trans en el mundo, somos personas poderosas, que somos personas libres y que tenemos el derecho a vivir sin transfobia, el derecho a vivir y tener una vida digna y libre de todos la discriminación que existe. Así que este es un llamado a continuar trabajando. Sé que muchas veces puede ser muy doloroso, muy cansado, y que muchas veces queremos abandonar toda esta lucha que es muy, muy, muy dura de llevar. Pero todos y cada uno de nosotros somos poderosos, y así que los invito a continuar luchando y a que mantengamos viva este poder, que mantengamos vivos nuestros cuerpos, mantengamos viva nuestra esperanza y nuestra vida trans. Así que de corazón y con todo amor les invito a que siempre nos veamos como estamos ahora aquí. Así que gracias.
All right. Just as a reminder, you know, in my culture, anytime you say someone's name after they've already departed, it's calling their spirit in. And so for this day, we're going to call in mini spirit. I want everybody to gather together, and when we take our march, remember to be close to one another. We're on safe streets, but you never know. So remember to stay close together. And that's the end of our program here, and we're going to go ahead and start our march.
Just not into it. Broke down, exposed now. With low clouds, there's nothing to cover me. There's nothing to cover me. Think back to the times when the sky was clear. I had visions of launching to the atmosphere. Now here on the ground, waiting for departure. Think back to the day before the colors fade. The highs and the lows get me, you see. I'm just not into this. I'm broke down, exposed now. With low clouds, there's nothing to cover me. There's nothing to cover me. When will the rain stop falling? When will I see the sun again, sun again? When will the rain stop falling? When will I see the sun again, sun again? The sun again. The highs and the lows get me, you see. I'm just not into it. I'm broke down, exposed now. With low clouds, there's nothing to cover me. The highs and the lows get me, you see. I'm just not into it. I'm broke down,
respects to those we lost to anti-trans violence. In the year 2022, we have lost at least 37 transgender or gender nonconforming people, majority of whom were Black and Latinx transgender women.
Caring for myself is not self-indulgence. It is self-preservation. And that is an act of political warfare.
I just have to drink this in for a minute because this is awesome. You know, people who showed up. We actually have overfilled the venue. Their legacy lives on. I keep waiting for a year when we don't have to get together and talk about this. I keep waiting for that year when we don't have more people taken away. And I cannot stress this enough, by transphobia, hate, and fear. It's not because we are transgender.
Thank you for being here, and I want to show my appreciation for the words that Holy Omembo have given us. I think that it's really important to put everything in context, especially on a day like this, when we just heard about the club in Colorado and what happened to the patrons there. So these kind of violence are not stopping. But you know what? We are not going to allow that to take away our joy, because we know better than they do who we are.
Yes.
At a drag brunch in honoring TDOR. My heart goes out to the victims of violence who have passed. Because there's such a thing as living half a life unhealed, and it will take many hits to mend those wounds.
This year, just a couple months ago, and Garson was an icon, an institution here in San Francisco. And one of the things, especially thinking back about, also what's happened, waking up to the terrible news about Club Q in Colorado Springs, and knowing that there's so much anti-trans hate and also money being funded into anti-trans legislation and continuing anti-trans oppression, and keeping love in our community and supporting our culture, our institutions, and doing all that she could to make sure that we build a stronger community. And I feel like one of her biggest legacies was that she led with kindness.
You have to have a special kind of eyes to see these kind of things. It's my life. I was there. I was raped when I was 9 years old in my school for one of the teachers. And all this happens for 2 years until it was discovered when he was trying to do it with another child at school. And my parents didn't know. It was a Catholic non-school. But all the time, he was saying that if they know about this, they're not going to love you.
Race. Hayden Aaron Maricela Castro. Candy Cherry Bush